Judy K. King's book, and in other books, they talk about once you die, meet Ra in the sunboat, and your soul and all this, you become all of those gods, which is the unknowable, because the unknowable is because your alchemical transformation in third dimension becomes something new. That's also why it's unknowable. You don't want to define it and fuck up what you're becoming. You ain't going through all this for nothing. You're going through this for a reason.
Right.
So we're in a parody of creation, and we stay in it as long as we believe this dream world is real. The soul sleeps here. Oh, like my soul is telling me to do something. No, your soul is asleep here. What you're doing is gaining light through this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Gaining light. Once this is all said and done and you're finished with it, you graduate. Earth is nothing but a school. And it could be a prison for some. And for most it is. Now, thus the simplest phenomenon and the most elemental to boot, that of nutrition, would have to be, for the Gnostics, a typical example of malefficient interaction. For the very act of nourishing oneself, of sustaining life, specifically implies death to other living species. Each birth, each perpetration of life or perpetuation of life increases the domain of death. So, what does that mean, quite simply? It means that every new baby, oh, look at the baby they're born, you bring death along with you. Now, you can look at it from the laws of Tahuti, cause and effect, or polarity. So each time you bring a good deed, because it has an absolute opposite that must show up, a bad deed must come with it. Each time you help an old lady down the stairs, somewhere in the planet an old lady does not get help down the stairs, because that's the opposite. This place is a flaw. For every 10 good things you do, the other polarity follows it somewhere.
Yes.
This place could never, ever be balanced, just, none of those things. It cannot, for the mere fact that just based upon what you know about the laws of Tahuti, fuck that up.
Right.
Fuck that up. So every time you bring, if there's 3,000 motherfucking new shiny babies born, then there's 3,000 motherfuckers that also bring with them the reality of what we call death, destruction, just by them eating vegetables too, nigger. Plants are alive.
Right, they are alive.
No, plants are alive. So, that alone is profound. All right, let's get another quote here.
Wow.
Man has absolutely nothing to do with the curse that was laid upon him. The one who is truly responsible is the sadistic and perverse demiurge who dared dream up such a cruel world in its minute detail. Now, you can bring this back to the chicken example. The chickens are not responsible for becoming legs, drumsticks, and wings. We are. They're ignorant of it. They don't know any better. But there was a movie about it. I cannot remember the name of this movie, Chicken Run or some shit, where the whole animated movie, the chickens were trying to get the fuck over the fence.
Yeah.
The other chickens like, what's better than what we got here? The other chicken said, fuck this punk ass shit. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Fuck this punk ass shit. Fucking, that was Wilbur in Charlotte's Web. That was the web of ISIS.
Yes.
She was talking to Wilbur. Well, you bitch ass nigga, you know they're going to eat your ass after the fair? Wilbur said, oh, fuck that shit. I better know how to do that. I better become Zuckerman's favorite pig. Because that motherfucker knew. Wilbur was becoming conscious. It's represented as him talking. Otherwise, he's just bacon. And ISIS was telling that nigga, guess what, nigga? Guess what, nigga? The chicken, same thing. Chicken Run was the name of the movie. That motherfucker was trying to get the fuck over the fence.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. We have the same issue. That's called Jehovah. Worship none but me. You're not supposed to worship false idols. False idols is your human body. False idols is matter. That's the curse of worshiping false idols. How could a supreme God have convinced incredible sequences, mechanisms, massacres, annihilations to constitute the very practice itself. That's very interesting. So on a Christian level, it's funny to me when they say, we're going to pray for Haiti. We're going to pray. Wait a minute. They're praying to the same God who you say did it. Didn't God do it according to you? Why if you're praying for him to stop doing it, ain't that going against his will? Why did he do it? Why did he do it? Then you ask him not to do it? Nah, that's ridiculous on a Christian level. Now, on a demiurge level, what's happening is, what you're seeing is they will create human events. Now, why? Okay, white people. What I found out was, if you read the Enochian shit, Enochian magic. In Enochian magic, there was a guy named John D. and something Kelly. This is I don't even remember the year. This is real old shit. But one of them were real logical, one of them was real spiritual. They didn't even know each other. One worked for the queen of England of that time. Enochian magic. Look up Enochian magic, and you can find out all these details. But lo and behold, what happened was they made contact with these angels, and they was giving the queen all this information. And they got what you call the Enochian language, which they said was a song that the angels couldn't resist. So if you speak in this Enochian language, you can get in contact with these angelic spirits, right?
Right.
But then now what I read, I can't remember which book it was, but what happened was these angels, which was the demiurge, told them, we'll show you the secrets of the universe. The first thing you need to do is make what you call a nuclear explosion. Because what you're doing is copying the Big Bang. When you do this, then we'll come back and fill you in on the rest. So when I read it, I said, okay, now it tells me the so-called white agenda, the white people that knows. I said, now I get it, because I could not figure out what would be a white, what's the carrot in front of white people's head? What would motivate them without no melanin? Know what I'm saying?
Right.
What would be the reason for them to get on this path? Because this old Enochian contact they made with these angelic spirits, and they were working under this demiurge agenda. They were the last great stand of the demiurge, which at the end of the day, it only adds to distraction. I told you last week, they can't dance. They haven't even broken to the quantum reality.
Right.
So they could wash their hands of that bullshit. But they're still going on this agenda. Now, when we made contact with the archangels, they said all that shit was just a trick.
Yes.
The archangels, like all of these spirits, it's like to give white people something to do. But through them doing it is actually how we transform. Now, when we made contact with the angelic spirits, the first thing they said, oh, y'all niggas already figured out how to talk to us. Said, if y'all want to talk to the angels, all you have to put on the group Earth, Wind, and Fire. I said, God damn. He said, yeah, we figured it out. Now, Bobby told me, like, when that channel came through, Bobby was like, wow, that's interesting, because Earth, Wind, and Fire was trying to do their thing. They had a guy named Charles Stephanie with them. Charles Stephanie died, and the dude Maurice, right, I guess his name is, he said, damn, when our music went to a whole different level.
Yeah.
Now, this dude Charles Stephanie made contact when he said, yeah, what I was doing was bringing down kind of, I don't want to say the new, but the true songs to make contact with the angels, which was Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I'm saying? We need to understand we're in a better position than we think we are. And I can tell by these status messages. Let me reiterate, we have simplified this thing down to our thinking. It's nothing for us because we are it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I've been riding a skateboard for years and I'm just up the street, I'm not even thinking doing tricks. But if you never rode the skateboard, this shit has got to be the most amazing thing. Yeah. So you got white people who make these movies and they show you all this amazing hoopla about magic because they never did it and that's how it looks to them. Wow, it's just boring to us. Like, Earth, Wind, and Fire ain't nothing. It is actually all divine. Who is the gods but us? Didn't God make that? Who is the Titans, the angels, the Nephilim, the reptilians, the Anunnaki? All that shit is us. So when you see things like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Marvin Gaye,